UFC Vegas 109. These are the full card predictions and the betting breakdown. I'm looking forward to talking about each of the matchups on this card. So make sure you guys smash the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, turn the post notifications on, and make sure you share the video too. And also note, I'll be live for the entire card Saturday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern time. Don't miss the fight companion. And let's get into the first fight on the card. The ladies going after it. Gabriela Fernandez versus Julius Stoliarenko. I'm going to be picking Gabriela Fernandez to win. She's a pretty powerful striker, good Muay Thai base, natural athlete too, and seems to have a big edge in like speed and athleticism here. Stoliarenko's got a pretty bad record, 11-8-1 with a 2-6 UFC record, but I do have to say like her jiu-jitsu game is fairly legit. She has a submission threat. She got Molly McCann out of there by submission, and that was a big upset at the time. Last fight, Luana Carolina finished her off on the ground. And now taking on Gabriela Fernandez, who's got some upside. I mean, she's coming off of the win against Wang Kong, who's on her way really to the top 15. Is one of the hyped up, flyweight. I don't even want to use the word prospect because she's in her 30, but like contenders to watch. I mean, she fought Shevchenko in kickboxing, and Fernandez was able to drop her and choke her out. Fernandez is pretty legit, and even the win against Carly Judice is aged beautifully because Judice looks like a future top 5 contender. I think that Stoliarenko is kind of just sluggish on the feet. Her stand-up game is mediocre. I mean, she'll throw shots, but doesn't have a lot of power, doesn't have great reflexes, isn't very slick in the striking department. Pretty much only path to win will be if she can drag Gabriela Fernandez to the ground, if she could beat her up from top position and then work towards some type of submission. But though Gabriela Fernandez is grappling at one point, you could say is questionable. I think it's gotten better defensively. And she still went distance against Jasmine Jasdavicius and Teresa Bleda, who I think are capable grapplers and better than Julia Stoliarenko. And then when you add in the power factor that Fernandez has, you got the momentum on the side with back-to-back wins and wins that I think matter in this division. I feel like she should be able to run through Stoliarenko in this fight, stop the takedowns, sting her up with big shots on the feet. And I think sooner or later, Julia Stoliarenko is going to end up hitting the ground and get TKO'd. So I'm going to lean towards Gabriela Fernandez to win by stoppage. I do think a knockout is live. I mean, Chelsea Chandler beat Stoliarenko's ass too. Chandler's coming off a terrible loss up in weight. The Molly McCann W, the Luana Carolina loss. I don't think that this is a W incoming against Fernandez. I mean, she could survive to the final bell. I'll give Stoliarenko a little credit. If it, goes past round and a half mark, Fernandez, I still think she could crack her late. But if she's eating the best shots and trying to tie up with her and holding her against the cage a little bit, could see it 15 minutes of work, but I still think it's, Stoliarenko getting ran out the room. So Gabriela Fernandez, the pick's going to be knockout, better striker, more explosive puncher, better athlete, physically stronger. I think simply put, she's a better fighter, and I feel like she's going to go out there and get pretty one-sided victory. Now, the odds reflect the same reality. At minus 425, Gabriela Fernandez is a nasty wide favorite. Stoliarenko plus 325. Stoliarenko is like a flat tire. She's an underdog with no momentum, and I just can't ride with that side. It's plus 150 to go over 2.5 rounds. It's expected to go under 2.5 at minus 180. Like I said, I think it would be more of a surprise if Stoliarenko survived the onslaught. To be fair, she does have 3 decision losses, opposite 4 KO losses and 1 submission loss. But her bread and butter of her game is sub skills. On the opposite side, no sub losses for the side of Fernandez. 2 KO wins, and she's, showed power against Kong Wang, even though she went out and won that fight by submission after club and subbing her. She's got some grappling skills of her own. I'll say this, though. You look at that. A lot of decisions outside the UFC. It's not a guarantee she gets a knockout. So it's interesting to see that the over is at plus money. I guess it's because Stoliarenko seems like she'll wilt if pressure's on her and she starts getting hit with big punches. I'll assume that she does wilt if Fernandez wins by KO, but there's like no value on Fernandez money line. I don't know what the props are going to look like. We'll talk about them as they drop throughout the week. I'm expecting the inside distance prop to be in the favorite status as well. Like maybe Fernandez tuning up Stoliarenko by a decision wouldn't be crazy, and there'll be more value on it than the inside distance or something like that. But yeah, that's for another video later on this week when we're talking pure betting side. The pick in the fist fight, Fernandez, better striker, more explosive, should be able to stop Stoliarenko's grappling attack. I think Fernandez is going to be good to go. Let's keep going. Next fight on the card, we have Uros Medic versus Gilbert Urbina. I'm picking Gilbert Urbina. I said that confidently too. And then you look at the odds, be like, no way. You're picking Gilbert Urbina. He's a can. He just got destroyed by Radke in his last fight. He took almost a year and a half off. He got injured, actually. He was supposed to fight Mike Malott and then, pulled out of the fight. I look at it like this, though. Urbina's young, 29 years of age, underrated grappling skills. His stand-up's not bad either. It's just Charles Radke is a pressure-based power hitter. He's got the knockout ability. He's going to throw big punches and back you up. And he was landing shots over the top on Gilbert Urbina. Uros Medic is a technical kickboxer. He comes from the base of kickboxing. He does have pretty precise kicks from the outside, good straight punches, nice timing on his shots. I mean, he knocked out Tim Means in violent fashion. There's been good moments for Uros Medic in his UFC career, but his grappling skills are sus to me, and you can definitely bully him, okay? We've seen Medic push backwards, cracked with big shots and put away, like Punahele Soriano, who put him out in 30 seconds last fight. And then 2 fights before that, he got destroyed by Mitabek Orabai on the ground, and Orabai came in on crazy short notice and beat his ass. And then obviously he lost to Jalen Turner down at lightweight by rear naked choke. I think that Urbina on the ground is going to be a difference maker. Striking wise, Medic better from distance, but giving up 2 inches in height and 4 inches in reach. I could see that edge negated a bit, especially because Medic's game is not so much close the gap and throw big bombs. It's land precise punches from, the yellow zone, the red zone at times, but more so green and yellow. Wants to throw from the mid and long range and sting up Urbina. But Urbina with the range could have striking success. And we're in the small cage, and I think Urbina's physically stronger. He looks like the better grappler to me. I think he's got the takedown threat. People are sleeping on Urbina's ground skills. Got a quick submission in the Ultimate Fighter house. Did lose to Tresean Gore by knockout. That ain't aged too well, but, Gore's a middleweight. Different weight class. Fought in the finals, lost to Brian Battle, but Brian Battle's a tough customer. It's not like Urbina didn't have early moments. Beat up Louis Koshke and took him down, and Koshke's a good wrestler, even though he's not maybe a great fighter. I don't think Uros Medic is all that. I mean, his wins haven't aged well. A washed Tim Means, a washed Matthew Semmelsberger, and a washed Omar Morales. Those are the 3 recent wins for him. I think that the 29-year-old Urbina is coming with some upside into this fight, and I think he's going to put some pressure on Medic, and I think he's going to get him to the ground, and I think he takes his back. I'm thinking rear naked choke. I'm going Gilbert Urbina to win this fight by submission. I'm thinking maybe a second round strangle. I don't understand these lines at all. How is Medic minus 450? Why is he a minus 450 favorite? This doesn't make any sense to me. At open, what was he? Minus 210? That much money has come down that they've spread the odds like that? You're telling me Medic is supposed to be like a lock here against Urbina? I feel like it's competitive, and I think Urbina's the better grappler. Medic the better technician in striking, but it's not like Urbina can't kickbox either. Don't just look at the Radke fight. I think Radke's laying Medic out in the first round too. Look at how he did against Soriano. Not saying Soriano's the exact same as Radke, but similarities in like pressure-based style with big bombs that they throw. Plus 350 for the side of Urbina. I disagree with the odds. It's one of those big underdogs that I'm picking here, but I see it as a more competitive fight. Over 1.5 plus 125. I'd say maybe. I definitely think there's a possibility Urbina locks up a submission. Could happen in the first, 3. I mean, he's only 3 fucking rounds in the fight, but it could happen within the first 2. I see it maybe second round, but fuck me in the Mystic Mac on picking the round. I'm picking the underdog Gilbert Urbina to win, and I just don't agree. I don't agree with the masses just thinking that he's just some scrub. I feel like Urbina's due for a win. And look, he lost to Sean Brady in 2018 and then got a win outside the UFC, won on the Ultimate Fighter, lost the fight on the Ultimate Fighter, lost to Brian Battle in the finale. You replaced Tresean Gore, beat Koshke, and then gets knocked out by Radke. Yeah, he hasn't had a lot of activity, but at 29, he's in his prime. I think he's still getting better. Medic is all right, but I'm not jumping up and down with the Medic hype, man. The chin worries me a bit. His grappling skills worry me a bit. He's not physically imposing. I think Urbina's coming in better shape. I think he's going to be stronger, and I think he's going to be better on the ground. And I think that's a key difference maker. I'm going Gilbert Urbina as an underdog to win this fight by submission. I think he's pulling the upset off, and I completely disagree with these wide ass betting lines. That's not the story of this fight at all. And I think Urbina can pull through. I'm picking him by submission. Clear advantage on the ground. Next fight, Jocelyn Edwards versus Priscilla Cachoeira. I'm going to pick Jocelyn Edwards. She was originally supposed to fight Myra Bueno Silva, and then Cachoeira jumped in on short notice. I like the matchup. I mean, Cachoeira is always in fun fights. She's a, brawler type. Likes to sit in the pocket and throw bombs, likes to get crazy on the feet and, throw a ton of volume and has power too. Coming off a nice knockout last time. It was the big uppercut against Josiana Nunes. She's definitely a fun watch and a girl that comes to make it a firefight. And I love that style. It's entertaining. She's, a great brawler to have on the back end of this bantamweight division. Her weakness is grappling, and it always has been. On the opposite side, Jocelyn Edwards, I think improving ground skills for sure. Definitely a fair striking game, technically pretty sound. She does have her chin come up high a little bit, but she's also riding some big momentum with back-to-back finishes. Submitted Tamara's Vidal, and Vidal's okay. I'm not saying Vidal's anything special, but still submitted Vidal. And they got a quick knockout at Chelsea Chandler, which I thought was pretty badass. Chelsea Chandler is a large woman, pretty big for the weight class, and for Edwards to go out and make it look easy, I thought that was kind of the sign that Edwards is showing consistent rate of improvement in her skill set. I feel like Jocelyn Edwards' kickboxing is fair in this spot. Yes, I think Cachoeira, like her dirty boxing style in that close range, could get a little crazy. And if Edwards just engages in the pocket, she could get caught by something stupid. And Cachoeira does have the gift of forcing girls into brawls and sometimes landing those KO shots. But I think Edwards should fight smart in this fight. She's going to have a nice reach advantage by, 5 inches here. Kickboxing from range should be pretty good. Cachoeira is going to try to make it a brawl. I think if they brawl on the inside, I see Edwards clinching up with Cachoeira. I see Edwards out wrestling Cachoeira. And I think when they hit the mat, Jocelyn Edwards is probably live to out grapple Cachoeira too. So I'm going to pick Jocelyn Edwards to win. I feel like she's live to take it home. She's on a finish streak, so it's like I'm almost tempted to say she submits Priscilla Cachoeira, but possibility of Edwards taking a decision win is not crazy. I expect her to go to the wrestling a bit, but her striking shouldn't look bad. Her stand-up's good. Her stand-up's clean. Like, if you look at the past 5, the win against Pudilova, close fight, could have gone either way, to be fair. Nora Cornell fight, I thought she won that one. Lost to Eileen Perez. Eileen Perez is really good. She's a top 10 talent now, so it's not really that bad of an L. And she had moments where she got on top of Perez and won the scrambles. And then, straight finishes back to back. I think Edwards is coming into her own a lot in the past 2 years, and I feel like she's going to show that level against Priscilla Cachoeira, who's a fun journeywoman, but was down in weight, taking L's to some of the better grapplers like Jazz Davicius and Miranda Maverick, losing both those fights by submission. I know Edwards might not be a submission ace per se, but she does have 4 submission wins, and I think she could end up rear naked choking Priscilla Cachoeira in this one. I think Edwards by submission is more possible than maybe anticipated. Minus 280 is the favorite. Edwards, fat favorite line. Priscilla Cachoeira plus 240. The thing about Edwards is sometimes she lifts that chin in the pocket and goes wild. So if you sit in there and just slug with Priscilla Cachoeira, of course, you're putting yourself at risk of getting flattened. And Cachoeira does, a fair job of doing it. You look at some of her recent wins: knockout over Josiane Nunes, knockout of Ariane Lipsky. The Ji Yoon Kim fight was a weird one that she ended up winning by decision. But 2 KO wins out of her last 2 wins are factors. Both girls finishes as of late in their victories. And to be fair for Cachoeira, in her L's too. I just feel like Edwards has got to be making a more stable rate of improvement. She's 7 years younger. The intangibles favor her with the 2-fight win streak. Naturally, a little bit larger than Priscilla Cachoeira. Should be the better grappler between the two. I think Jocelyn Edwards takes this one home. I think she can neutralize the Cachoeira threat, potentially strangle her in this one. But in the striking, I don't think she's done either. Cachoeira ripped some big power shots, but I could see Edwards landing some counters. I'm going to say Jocelyn Edwards wins. I'll say submission or decision for the side of Edwards in this spot. Let's keep running. Next fight on the card, Elijah Smith versus Toshiyami Kazama. I think that Elijah Smith is going to chin Kazama in this one. I mean, Kazama is proven himself as a chaotic pressure brawler. That's what he is. He comes out fast, starts fights right off rip, throwing big shots, backing you up, trying to wrestle you, trying to drag you to the floor, trying to beat you up. The issue is, like, his head is on the center line. He's completely reckless in striking. Like, he really is. There's no calmness to his offense. It's just blitzing chaos, and that's about it in stand-up. And then on the ground, I mean, yeah, if he gets on top, he could be dangerous. He could control position and could even throw up a submission from bottom. I mean, he hit, Charalampos Gregorio with that triangle last time. But let's not forget, Kazama was dropped in that fight too. Kazama, every single fight that we see him in the UFC, he's getting hurt. Garrett Armfield knocks him out. Dropped him, knocked him out, hurt him with a jab. Rinya Nakamura knocks him out violently early in the fight. Kazama's chinny, bro, and he just doesn't use defense. His style is not defensive. It's offense, and that's it. It's pressure. Let's start fast. I mean, it's a bad example, but like Nick Klein against Pelayev, starting fast and then having no strike defense or gas to hold through past that point. I feel like Kazama is something similar to that, man. And I just don't think that that kind of style works against a slick boxer in Elijah Smith who has, defensively sound wrestling skills, good submission defense, pretty good power in his hands, and seems to be a calm prospect, right? Has a good sense of calm in the cage, picks his shots pretty well, throws with power, coming off back-to-back wins and, a fair high level. Aaron Tao in a good brawl, pulled off a W, and Tao's a tough customer. He was undefeated heading into the fight. Beat Vince Morales in a competitive fight. Had some successful moments on the ground, but to be fair, Morales, he shot some of those tight front headlock attempts and threatened Elijah Smith a bit. But still, Smith able to gut his way out of tight submission attempts from a guy like Vince Morales. I don't rate Kazama as high as Morales. If they were booked to fight, I'd assume that Vince Morales would be like a minus 250 favorite against Toshiyami Kazama. I just don't think Kazama's that good, man. He's all knockout losses, bro. It's every loss he's getting chinned. I guess he did lose one decision, his MMA debut, but 3 of his most recent losses, violent knockout losses, even the most recent win against Charalampos. He's hurt bad in that fight. He's just defensively irresponsible, and he fights like a chaotic psychopath. He's going to shoot singles. He's going to switch to doubles. He's going to look to drag you down. Smith's hips are good. Smith is going to box him up, and Smith's going to find openings. Smith, first-round knockout. Expect a highlight reel. He should lay Kazama out in this fight. He's a 6-1 favorite, though, which doesn't necessarily surprise me. This is a bit of a layup for Elijah Smith. Plus 425 for Kazama on the opposite side. And let's see what else we're looking at here. Under 1.5 is minus 155. Dude, with Kazama's sus defense, I can't feel as though any confidence on, we're going to get into the later stages. No, probably Kazama comes out crazy and gets stung by Elijah Smith, who's the sharper boxer, who keeps good patience. He's got a speed advantage. He's going to stop the takedowns. I feel like he's better than Kazama in pretty much every attribute. And with Kazama just being complete reckless striking game, he's going to be open for so many shots. The head's on the center line. There's too many flaws in the defense. Elijah Smith should get a nice knockout, and he should get a little finish streak going back for himself. He's got knockout wins, right? Look at his last 5. He's hit 2 out of the 5 by KO, and I feel like we got some KOs incoming here. I think Kazama's getting dusted. So Elijah Smith as a crazy wide favorite, but the truth is, odds shouldn't really matter here because Elijah Smith should knock him out in the first round and make this look pretty easy. Yeah, I don't think that Kazama's got a chance on the feet. Too reckless, too wild. He's getting dusted. Next fight. We got the featured prelim of the night. We got Julius Walker versus Rafael Cerqueira. Yeah, it's another squash match. I'm going to pick Julius Walker to win. I don't think Rafael Cerqueira is good. Rafael Cerqueira has a lot of wins against shit cans in Brazil. I watched a ton of tape on the, Brazilian regional scene with him leading up to his fight against Modestas Bukauskas. And I was like, okay, it's taxi drivers. It's guys that are taking fights for an extra, I don't know how much they pay in Brazil, $500, let's say, to make a little bread on top of their weekly salary. Cerqueira is a sharp striker, though. Like, it's not like he's awful. He's got pretty good kicks. He's got some power in his hands. He's got a capable Muay Thai game, but my God, 35 years old, came into the UFC 11-0 and just got destroyed in back-to-back fights. Got crushed by Ibo Aslan, and Aslan has turned out to not be nearly as good as the hype had people believing. And then fight after that, he goes out there and he gets dusted again violently against Modestas Bukauskas. Now he's taking on a Julius Walker who had a real impressive short notice debut where he went tooth and nail with Alonzo Menafield. I feel like that was one of those like moral victory type of fights. Made it close, back and forth striking exchanges, 8 big shots, threw shots back, showed pretty good clinch strength in the fight. Menafield's takedown defense was crazy. At the end of the day, to go to a split decision like that, short notice debut against an Alonzo Menafield, and now they give you probably top 2 worst, I guess bottom 2 worst light heavyweights on the roster. I think Julius Walker should make this look pretty easy. I think he's going to drag Cerqueira to the ground, and I think he's going to beat the shit out of him. Walker has good physicality and strength from top position. He throws very good ground and pound. He also brings a submission threat. My first instinct, though, was he's going to take out the can crushing kickboxer by ground and pound. He's going to get on top. He's going to hold the position. He's going to work towards a stable pass. It's going to be half guard, then to full mount. I think he's going to start dropping bombs on Cerqueira. And then Cerqueira's potentially going to turn his back, and it's really up to Walker. Is Cerqueira going to give him the choke? Maybe. Or Walker's just going to drop some big ground and pound on him. I think Walker's dragging this fight to the ground. We're in the small cage, too, which favors Walker even more. There's like no room to run for Cerqueira. These big light heavyweights, 3 steps forward, and next thing you know it, you're in the center. 3 steps backwards. Next thing you know it, you're pressed against the cage. You're pinned. I'm stuttering my damn words. I think Julius Walker is dragging this fight to the ground and beating the shit out of Cerqueira. I think there's a level difference. I think Walker ground and pound his lap, but submission is there too. I could see Cerqueira turning his back and just giving up his neck. I think he's going to be shown levels. Cerqueira, he seems to me to be one of those guys that, he likes to fight in the easy fights. He likes the layups where he can show his technique and just beat the shit out of you. When things get hard, he folds, man. And I definitely think the way Walker fights is hard-nosed pressure fighting. And I think that breaks a guy like Cerqueira. I don't think he has any fucking chance here. I think Julius Walker makes this look pretty easy and should stop him probably in the first round. He's a 6-1 favorite. Woo! Another minus 600. My God, the odds suck. Plus 425, but yeah, I'm in full agreement with the odds here. I think he should be 6-1. I don't think this is a hard fight for him. Under 1.5, minus 225, yes. I think Walker gets this fight to the ground, and it's either ground and pound or it's going to be ground and pound into a rear naked choke when Cerqueira just gives up. I think Julius Walker shows grappling levels in this fight. Let's see. 2 submission wins, 4 KOs. Let's look at recently. Ground and pound, ground and pound. Niall Bartling, tough customer, making it to round 2. Tap out the strikes, rear naked choke, ground and pound. Yeah, man. Bevon Lewis' first round finish is kind of impressive. Lewis was in the UFC. Dennis, an Ultimate Fighter vet. Yeah, this should be easy work. And look at the debut. To go to a split decision with Alonzo Menafield. And look, he just fraud checked Umar Sy last time. Like Julius Walker's stock rises. And I think he makes pretty easy work against Cerqueira in his sophomore appearance, being like more properly match made. Walker all day, destructive, body Cerqueira into potentially the submission or the ground and pound finish. Shit, it might be a tap out due to strikes. Next fight on the card, it brings us to our main card opener. If you guys are watching and enjoying, make sure you hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe it up. We got Eryk Anders versus Christian Leroy Duncan. I'm going with Christian Leroy Duncan. I think Christian Leroy Duncan is going to look pretty sharp in the stand-up here. But I will say, The worry I have with this fight is the apex, and Eryk Anders is a pretty fucking strong guy. He's got good clinch control and pressure, backs people up well, holds them against the cage well. Kind of like that Neil Magny thing. He's a bit relentless. You know, it's hard to put Eryk Anders away. He takes a really good shot. Like if you look to blitz Eryk Anders, you're unlikely to actually get the stoppage. You might gas yourself out. He got dropped in his last fight versus the 47-year-old Chris Weidman. Fight before that, he got dropped bad by Jamie Pickett, who was like 1-12 in the UFC. I'm exaggerating, but you know what I'm saying. Still is able to gut out wins, though. I mean, respect to Eryk Anders. Doesn't quit on himself. Very fit, very physically strong, good recovery. I think Leroy Duncan's a lot better at striking, though. Going to be way sharper, way more technically sound, way faster. He's going to have a reach advantage, too. Movement's a lot better. And I think Leroy Duncan is adapting. I think his skills are improving. I think he should be able to fight off Anders' clinch pressure. I think Anders is going to probably try to wrestle him here. I think Leroy Duncan does a good job of stopping the takedowns. When I look at the striking, I could see a straight right from Leroy Duncan dropping Eryk Anders. The problem is putting Eryk Anders away, not common, not easy to do. He is 38 years of age, but I like the recovery. I just don't like that he's getting caught clean by guys that are, bottom feeders of the division. You look at Anders, though, he's only KO'd one time. One KO loss, like you got to sit there and respect the durability. Thiago Santos retired him in the corner, round number 3, years back. So he's never really even been put out. Split decision with Lyoto Machida. Like, if you really dig into Eryk Anders' resume, the guy just makes people fucking struggle. Look, he's even grappling and getting wins. Oh my God. Eryk Anders is just one of those fucking guys, man. He's one of those gritty, tough, gatekeeper type journeyman stylists who never give up. So it's one of those fights where I think you look towards maybe the over. Leroy Duncan's a creative striker. He's definitely faster. He's definitely better from distance. And I think he does fine in the clinch. It's just Anders keeps fucking coming. He's like a damn zombie. And then you look at odds, minus 500 or more for Leroy Duncan. This is crazy talk to me. Leroy Duncan properly lined here. Let's see what it was at open. Even 4-1. Minus 250. Minus 300. Minus 565 is outrageous. Like, especially when you're dealing with a guy in Anders who does not stop. What's the over? Over 2.5 minus 170. I think we probably go over 2.5. If Leroy Duncan knocks Eryk Anders out, that is a fucking feather in his cap because Anders has never been knocked out clean before. Chin is always held up. Shit, he went distance with Khalil Roundtree, for God's sake. At light heavyweight, too. I'm going to say Leroy Duncan technically outworks him in a hard fight. A harder fight than the odds will have you believe in. Fuck the minus 575. That's stupid. The over makes a ton of sense. Leroy Duncan might clip Anders and might put him down, but I don't think Anders goes out. He's been getting dropped lately, always finds a way back up, doesn't give up. And that comes from that, thick-ass neck, the guy. Holy shit. Eryk Anders is a bit of a freak, but his gas tank is good, right? He shows up in really good physical condition. And that's why you see he gets flash knocked down, but then he'll burst up to his feet. That just comes from being in great shape and having that will to win. Because Anders has a ton of will to win, never gives up on the position, never gives up on himself. But at the end of the day, skill for skill, Leroy Duncan way slicker. So Leroy Duncan should go out and pick him apart in technical fashion and fight off his takedown attacks and defend the clinch battle and even have some success of his own in the clinch, maybe land some elbows on the inside. For Leroy Duncan, a W here is great, even if it's a nitty-gritty, hard-fought decision. If he gets a knockout, the stock jumps a ton for me. At minus 575, we're talking stupid, though, because that's not what the odds should be. That's not the story of this fight. Eryk Anders could turn this into a gritty dogfight. It could be 29-28. He could steal around. He could land a takedown. But at the end of the day, Leroy Duncan, younger, sharper, reach advantage, and I think just a better striker overall. I'm going to pick him to pull through. I'll go Leroy Duncan, hard-fought decision. Could he clip Anders? Maybe. And I think he does sting him, but I don't know if he puts him away, man. That Anders chin, especially at 38, he's not even old. 38 in the middleweight division is different. If we're talking about 135ers, all right, we're worried about 38. Middleweight, though? Anders' chin's been good. Maybe it's time, though. With 2 fights in a row, he's been dropped. Maybe it's time that somebody puts him out, and maybe Leroy Duncan's the guy, but I just don't know. I think Leroy Duncan wins a crafty decision. He does have KO wins, but it's Dennis Tululin, who he fucked up bad, and Claudio Ribeiro, who he fucked up bad. But those are bottom feeders. Eryk Anders runs through that level of opposition. Goes distance with RoboCop, who's a beast, and then Andre Pelayev decision, who's a technician. Yeah, I'll go Leroy Duncan on the cards. He should beat Anders. The over should hit here. Underrated over, I feel like, because Anders' durability is strong. Let's keep going. Next fight on the card, we got Miles Johns versus Jean Matsumoto. So I have been picking Jean Matsumoto, okay? I saw it, and I said, you know what? I'm going with the Brazilian prospect who gave Rob Font a real run for his money. To be honest, the reason Rob Font won that fight is because of that fake glove touch to the big shot early in the night. I look at it and I was like very happy and celebratory because I had Rob Font as a savage underdog lock that week and it hit. But Matsumoto pushed him to the brink, man. I think Matsumoto's striking's pretty good. Sharp Muay Thai style kickboxing, really good low kicks, fast straight punches, good fight IQ, strong grappling game too, legit submission threat as well. When you look at Miles Johns, he like wings big power shots, right? Miles Johns is a heavy hitter and he throws wide looping shots looking to back you up and bully you. The thing about Miles Johns, though, is with all that chaotic wild shit and a reach disadvantage, I see him getting stung by the straights of Gene Matsumoto. I can see Matsumoto throwing a nice jab on him, hitting him with a good cross, timing teeps up the center. I could see Miles Johns trying to wrestle, Gene Matsumoto defending the position, ending up maybe even reversing the position, getting on top for, periods of time. I think Matsumoto is just more technically proficient and sound, but Miles Johns is a beast. I mean, I've always liked Miles Johns. I've spoken highly of him for a long time, and he's good. I mean, he's 15-3 as a pro. You look at his last 5, win over Vince Morales is pretty solid. The Dan Argueta fight, he dominated, obviously. Ends up getting overturned because he tested positive for Turinabol. And then Cody Gibson W was impressive. Douglas Silva de Andrade win was impressive. Then he loses to Felipe Lima. It was up in weight too at 45. And he looked okay, but Lima kind of showed him, different levels of technicality and even, the grappling offense and defense in that fight. I don't know, man. Matsumoto last fight going tooth and nail with Rob Font. I feel like he should be able to win. I feel like he should be a little sharper. I feel like the submission threat is live. I feel like the boxing threat is there. Johns is just ripping wide shots. I think Johns makes it close. I think it's a competitive back and forth fight for sure. I'll say like 29-28 Matsumoto makes the most sense to me. I think that Johns will have moments. I don't think Johns is going to wilt. I think he's going to be looking to throw hard, but Matsumoto gave Rob Font such a run for his money. And I'm like, I think this kid just keeps getting better. Like, I remember not necessarily being blown away here. And then the debut, I'm like, all right, good comeback sub, got outworked a bit, but didn't quit. And all right, he looked okay with Katona. And then it was like, all right, you know what? Even in the loss to Rob Font, that like gave me more belief that he actually has a legit skill set. And I feel like Gene Matsumoto's too sharp for Miles Johns. Better with the straight punches, grappling skills solid. I don't see Johns just winging wild shots and bullying Matsumoto, With Miles Johns, if he can bully you, the advantage is vast. If he can out-wrestle you, the advantage is really vast. But I don't think Matsumoto's getting out-wrestled, and I don't think Matsumoto's getting boxed up. I'm sure Johns hits him with a couple of those clubbing punches, but I think Matsumoto's more accurate with straights. So I'm going to pick Gene Matsumoto to win. Matsumoto minus 300 as the favorite. A little bit on the wider side, open at minus 225, but it doesn't surprise me because I see the path to victory. Plus 250 for the side of Miles Johns. And then let's see what the over looks like. Over 2.5 rounds, minus 275. I anticipate these two to most likely go over. Matsumoto's submission threat is good. Does have 6 wins by sub, a 7 decision. It's not like John's getting subbed every other fight. He did have that arm triangle loss a while back. 2022 arm triangle loss to Castaneda. And Batista knocked him out in 2020, but those types of losses are, fairly forgivable. But I do think Gene Matsumoto is going to be better than Miles Johns here. He's coming into his own, nearly 26. Yes, Johns in his prime too at 31 and a game test for the prospect. But I feel like Matsumoto's got a wide array of techniques, more technically sound, and I think that's the biggest difference maker. The straight punches are the difference maker. I'm watching Miles Johns load up on wild shots. Even against Douglas Silva de Andrade, there was moments of counter for Andrade. I think Matsumoto's too technical. I'm going Matsumoto to win. And Matsumoto's physically pretty fucking intense. Jack, strong. There's positive takeaways. And I think that negates Miles Johns' edge where normally he has that physicality advantage. Next fight on the card, we got Andre Fili versus Christian Rodriguez. Oh, I'm gonna go with Andre Fili. I'm gonna pick Andre Fili. I think Andre Fili wins. C-Rod is the prospect killer, but he's not winning against veterans, man. Every veteran in the UFC faces, he loses, man. Last time out, I mean, Melky Costa's a longtime MMA veteran. To be fair, though, he's kind of a prospect in the featherweight division. Costa gets a hard-fought win over him. And then you look, the other loss there to Julian Erosa. Erosa locks him in the gilly. Other loss was JSP, Jonathan Pierce, in his debut. C-Raw is pretty good at grappling. Some underrated clinch work and wrestling threats, and the kickboxing game is pretty smooth. I'd say pretty capable, and he has a really good gas tank. He's one of those like high work rate types. He's not going to gas out come round number 3. He even won that 3rd round against Melky Costa, impressed him. Obviously, both guys coming off losses to Melky Costa. Andre Fili got subbed early in the fight by Melky. Not a great look. Got caught in the gilly. I don't know what the hell he was doing. He got caught slipping bad. You know, shoots the takedown, locked in the gilly. Neck is just fucking, he leaves the neck and this gets strangled. I don't understand what happened there. It was a mental lapse. I don't see C-Rod subbing Andre Fili, and I don't see C-Rod knocking Fili out. So I anticipate a hard 3-round kickboxing heavy fight between the two. Andre Fili's going to have a 3.5-inch reach advantage. He's also going to have a 4-inch edge in the height. He's going to have the longer limbs. Fili's a pretty quick boxer. Like, I still think Andre Fili can mix it up on the feet with these unranked guys real well. Sharp with his punch combinations. C-Rod's striking is pretty good, but I don't know, man. I swear to God, C-Rod's stand-up game is overrated because he trains alongside of the Pettis brothers. Like, oh, he's from Rufus Sport. Sergio and Anthony Pettis there. That means he's a fucking kickboxer. But, like, when is C-Rod's striking really look that good? I mean, it's solid. He's sound. He knows how to strike. I'm not saying he's a shit striker. But is he knocking Andre Fili out? No. Is he technically out kickboxing him for 3 rounds? I lean no. And is Fili getting grapple fucked by C-Rod? I don't think so. The height advantage, I think he can fend off clinch trips and takedowns well. You look at being at Team Alpha Male for a long time and training alongside good grapplers. That's Syndicate now. Fili's underrated. Fili's a hard out for anybody. And at 35, I still think he's got a couple more good ones in him. And I feel like C-Rod ends up losing a decision here to Andre Fili. I think Fili's going to be a little better with his boxing, little sharper with his hands. I think he's going to fight off the takedown threat from the side of C-Rod. I think distance striking Fili will have moments. I'm expecting C-Rod to try and use that small cage to his advantage. I'm expecting C-Rod to look to close that gap and press Andre Fili up against that cage, wear on him, and look for trips. I don't see Fili getting bodied on the ground, man. When's the last time you really been bodied on the ground? Like, yeah, he lost a technical fight in Nathaniel Wood, but Wood's sharp and he's well-versed and he's a fucking vet, man. You know, Dan Ige put him out with one big shot. It was a sick KO. And then last time, Melky Costa caught him in the sub with those sneaky long arms. He shoots the takedown. It goes under. It's one of those things where it's like Fili has had some bad losses in his career, but I still feel like he's got more. I feel like he pulls through in this one. I know Fili's a 50-50. He's been trading wins and losses for a while, so he's due for a win. On the side of C-Rod, he's 1-2 in his last 3. You can't really knock him too bad for his losses either, but, you know, Erosa caught his neck tight. C-Rod last one in a back and forth with Melky. I feel like Andre Fili can win, man. I think he's going to be a little better with boxing, a little sharper. His straight punches will be a little bit crisper. I don't see C-Rod like ripping him with heavy low kicks, backing him up and bullying him. I guess that's the thing, right? When you're picking C-Rod, is like, can he deal with somebody's onslaught and then can he bully him back? I feel like Fili's got that technical outpoint style. So I could see it being more of that type of pace kickboxing fight. Then I could see Fili finding some success and landing some good counters. I think it's going to be competitive. I think 29-28. I'm not saying that it's a walk in the park for Touchy Fili, but I don't think it's over yet for Andre Fili. And I think a hard fought decision win over C-Rod to bounce it back on track, that just seems like an Andre Fili type of career, you know? Let's check out the odds here. Andre Fili is plus 214. Wow, bro. On wider here. Opened up at plus 250. Jesus, man. I was looking here plus 180, I thought was wide. Plus 214. C-Rod's a minus 254 favorite. Damn, son. C-Rod's a favorite and a half over here. C-Rod is only beating prospects, though. Over 2.5 minus 220. I say yes. Name me a fucking vet. All right. Austin Bashi, prospect. Isaac Delgarian, prospect. Anna Robbery. Cameron Simon, prospect. And he missed weight for that fight at 135. Rosas, prospect, missed weight. Joshua Williams, prospect. What vet is he beating? He hasn't beaten vets. When he takes on UFC veterans, he loses. When he doesn't take on the up-and-comer, now he's taking on a savvy 35-year-old. I feel like Fili's craft is sharp at this point. And I feel like though he's 35, you look at the age and then you're swayed. He didn't take much damage against Melky Costa 5 months ago. He got caught in a quick gilly, man. I think C-Rod 4 months ago got pushed harder by Costa and took more damage in that fight, if anything. I'm going to say Andre Fili gets a decision. Hard-fought decision, maybe a split decision. But I'm saying another veteran lesson is coming C-Rod's way, and I think Andre Fili's taking it home. Touchy Fili to pull through. Next fight, featured fight. Iasmin Lucindo versus Angela Hill. I'm going to go with Lucindo to win in this one, guys. I have to go Lucindo. I like Angela Hill, and I tend to pick her a lot. I picked her last time with Ketlin Souza, but shit. That fight was kind of too close for comfort. And then Souza just sold so hard last week as the dog lock losing to Piera. Am I unforgiving of that? Am I using that to judge this fight? Maybe. I don't know. I think that Lucindo can get a hard-fought decision. I think that Lucindo, and the striking can mix it up pretty well with Angela Hill. I think they're competitive. Hill's got a high output of strikes, and she's pretty fast with her kickboxing. Lucindo mixes up pretty good flurries well, and she's got a good quick kickboxing game too. But I'll tell you this, man. I feel like the difference maker is Lucindo's going to have a little bit of that edge in the clinch. They tie up. I think Lucindo's winning the clinch battle. I think Lucindo's going to look to tie up with Hill and press her against the cage. I'm not thinking Lucindo is overly confident in her ability to out-wrestle Angela Hill. No. But I think tying up with her and pressing her against the cage, getting her close there, forcing her to fight out of the position, and then landing some key combinations in that pocket in close range and backing Hill up throughout the fight could get Lucindo a nitty-gritty and close win. We know Angela Hill can go hard for 3 rounds. Been on the UFC roster forever and fought pretty much everybody there is. Lucindo's the blossoming up-and-comer, coming off the loss last time to Amanda Lemos, unsuccessful in the grappling threat, got shown a level and tested. Fight before that, close fight with Marina Rodriguez where her wrestling was a difference maker. But to be fair, Marina Rodriguez still has pretty good Muay Thai. Different than Angela Hill. More of the danger threat there with Marina. Pavlovkevich win, Polyana Viana win, Brogan Walker win. Feel like Lucindo is going to get a hard-fought decision. I see it as another close-ass Angela Hill fight. It goes over 2.5. It's going to be back and forth. Hill's going to be looking for big punches and fast punches, I should say. Big punches is maybe an overstatement. She's going to be looking to throw combinations. She's 40 years old in 6 months. Like, when does the clock tick for Angela Hill? Now she takes on a 23-year-old. Is she going to take out a girl 17 years younger than her, in her prime, in the top 10? Oh, I can't do it. I got to go Lucindo. I think Lucindo wins some key exchanges. I think Lucindo ties up with her. I don't know. That Ketlin Souza fight was close as fuck for Angela Hill. Not saying that it's like a red flag to have a close fight with Ketlin Souza. Souza's a tough customer, but I think Lucindo is more well-rounded and better than Ketlin Souza. And if Souza can push Hill to a split decision in her most recent fight 5 months ago, another 5 months by, half a year essentially. I think Lucindo's coming on strong. I think Lucindo's going to win. I think Lucindo's coming in invigorated after this loss. I think the loss motivated. It's like, okay, what do I got to work on? I think the wrestling looks better here. The clinch work looks better here. I think she hunts Angela Hill down. And I think she outworks Angela Hill. I'm going to say Lucindo takes it home on the judges' scorecards. Not an easy fight. Going to be close. They'll go back and forth. It'll probably be 29-28. Shit, it might be a split decision, but I think it goes the way of Lucindo. I'm going to pick her to beat Angela Hill. She's minus 190 as the favorite here in this spot. I think that's fair. Plus 165 for Angela Hill. And let's see what the over sits at. Over is minus 550. Shit, I think the overs are locked too. I agree with the odds completely. I'm thinking we're going distance here. Both girls will have some moments. Hill's going to be looking to throw a high volume. I think that Lucindo is going to be able to walk Hill down a little bit more. Might have to chase her a bit too. I just don't think Hill's power is going to keep Lucindo off of her. I also like that Lucindo's a tad bit longer than Angela Hill. She's definitely more offensively a threat with wrestling. More offensively a threat with wrestling is Lucindo to Angela Hill as opposed to the contrary. And I think that could be a difference maker between the two. So I'm going to say Lucindo with some clinch work, with some cage control time, and winning some competitive but key striking exchanges does enough to beat Angela Hill. So Lucindo, decision win in the feature fight of the night is going to be my prediction. Next fight. Co-main event of the evening. We got Steve Erceg versus Ode Osbourne. Osbourne coming in on real short notice, replacing Hyun Sung Park, who just fought last Saturday, really it's yesterday at the time of the recording, and got choked out in the second round by Tyra. He was initially supposed to fight Steve Erceg. Respect to Osbourne sticking in and taking the shot, you know? But Steve Erceg's going to win. Steve Erceg's going to win. There was no fight booked either for Ode Osbourne, so it's not like he was supposed to fight in a few weeks and was in camp. I'm sure he trains all year. All right, I'm sure that he's ready to go. Let's see, it's at 135, right? Yeah, it is. So, guess not a worry of a weight cut. My God, can you imagine Ode Osbourne stops Erceg's grappling threat, tunes him up on the feet, pulls off some crazy upset? I don't see it. Steve Erceg's striking's good, man. Steve Erceg's a clean boxer. He's got good movement. He's technically sound with his combinations. He minds his P's and Q's exceptionally well. He is a proficient striker from a technical standpoint. He does everything right. Yes, Kai Kara-France caught him with a bomb and flatlined him. Kai Kara-France is a knockout puncher and dangerous as hell on the feet. Different level than Ode Osbourne. Erceg's jiu-jitsu skills, they're underrated. Good wrestling game. Okay. Good control on the ground. Legit submission threats too. Good back control. I just think that Steve Erceg's grappling is clearly better than Ode's. And in the striking department, I think Steve Erceg should be pretty all right with his defensive awareness against Ode. Now, to speak on the positives though, Ode Osbourne has got a crazy long 73-inch reach. He actually has some good power for a flyweight. We saw him cracking Ronaldo Rodriguez. He does have pretty dangerous distance straights and a bit of an unorthodox kickboxing flow. He's got a win over Charles Johnson by split decision 2.5 years ago. So Osbourne has found his successes in the UFC. He's had good moments. Has been looking for this big chance. Lost the fight after to Almabayev, got ran over on the ground. Lost to Fili, got ran over on the ground. The Ronaldo Rodriguez fight, he ended up selling after nearly getting it around number one. Rodriguez outgridded him, outdogged him, and pulled out the W. Then he follows it up with a sick knockout of Louis Garule, chinning Garule, who was 10-0 and giving him his first loss in a UFC debut. You go from fighting Louis Garule, a Contender Series vet making his debut, to now you fight Steve Erceg, the guy that gave Alexandre Pantoja all he could handle and losing a razor-thin decision for the belt not that long ago, about a year ago. And I only assume Erceg's gotten better. He's had 4 months off, went 5 rounds in a back-and-forth fight with Moreno. Yes, clearly lost, but still went the distance with Moreno. Lost bad to Kai Kara-France, but got that experience against Kai. Went the distance in a hard-fought back-and-forth fight with Pantoja and gave him a better fight than Kai did, Asakura, and fucking Kara-France. Steve Erceg's legit, man. Steve Erceg's very skillful. Technically sound in the striking, but I think in this fight, he's going to look to exploit the weakness in grappling with Ode Osbourne. Why sit there and exchange big blows with Osbourne on the feet when Osbourne's real only path to win this fight is Ode Osbourne needs a fucking KO. He needs to catch Steve Erceg slipping on the feet with a big straight punch or slip some punches, then land like a shovel uppercut or a wide hook, some type of like slight surprise counter shot to put Erceg out would be the way Osbourne wins. I don't think he does that. I think Erceg will strike a little bit and stay patient and pick his shots. And then I think he gets this fight to the ground. And I think he's going to show Osbourne levels on the mat. Might not be a first round submission. I could see Erceg striking with Osbourne a bit in round one, getting him to the ground a bit, controlling a bit, having a couple of moments. But come round number two, as the fight wears on, I think the takedowns get easier for Steve Erceg. And I think Erceg finds himself in a pretty dominant position. And I think he's probably strangling Ode Osbourne. I'm going Steve Erceg to win. I'll favor the submission side because Osbourne's obviously got a weakness there. Rear naked choke, rear naked choke. Obviously, Ronaldo Rodriguez decision. But look at that. Two rear naked chokes. Erceg got a pretty good rear naked choke. His ground skills are legit, man. I like Steve Erceg still in that top 7, top 8, and I don't think losing to an Ode Osbourne happens. No way. I think that Erceg's pretty much a lock in this spot. I respect Osbourne stepping in, and the one intangible will be this fight is at 135 as opposed to 125, but Erceg had a full training camp. Granted, he was preparing for Hyun-Sung Park, who's got a 66-inch reach. Now he's got a guy with a 73-inch reach. Different fight for sure. But I think Erceg can make the proper adjustments. He's a cerebral fighter, and I think he's going to be able to make his reads after round one. That's why I'm thinking round two, he'll probably finish Osbourne on the ground. Plus 375 for Osbourne, minus 500 for Erceg. The saving grace for Osbourne in this fight could be not having to cut that extra 10 pounds. Minus 225 for an over 1.5. I mean, yeah, I feel like we go over 1.5, but it could be earlier second round. I don't know. I don't like the over 1.5. It's like they're tricking me here. I like Erceg by sub. I think Erceg does do the thing against Osbourne when they hit the mat. You look at Osbourne, 4 submission losses, 2 KO losses. I'm really more so leaning towards sub. Tyson Nam KO loss back in 2022. Cop knocked him out. Shit, man. The Gilly against Kelleher. Oh my God. I remember that. That was a crazy upset at the time. Wow, yeah, it's the odds don't do it justice. What you thought is like, oh, Osbourne's ready. He's this prospect to watch, and Kelleher just strangles him early. I don't see Ode Osbourne beating a Steve Erceg. Erceg wins fights in a multitude of ways, but the 6 submission wins stand out the most to me. And I think he'll take the back of Ode Osbourne. And I think a smart game plan is in store for that Erceg team. Getting this fight to the ground, shining where he's definitely way better than Osbourne at. I'll say Erceg wins by submission. I think he does that. Yeah, could he catch him on the feet? Yeah, because Erceg got a good check left hook, and his striking is game for sure. But with Osbourne not cutting the extra 10, I feel like at 135, the chin could even hold up a little bit better. And yeah, it'll be interesting what advantage that gives Osbourne, because he's pretty jacked for a 25-pounder. But I do think Erceg's levels above on the ground, and I think the jiu-jitsu difference is the key difference. So Erceg submission, the pick for the co-main event. The main event of the evening. If you guys are watching and enjoying, make sure you hit that damn like button. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe it up. We got Roman Dolidze versus Anthony Hernandez in the main event. I'm picking Anthony Fluffy Hernandez to beat Roman Dolidze here. I like his chances a lot in this spot. On the side of Hernandez, I mean, he's riding a really big win streak right now, and he's looking like the guy to keep an eye on, winning 7 in a row in the middleweight division. I mean, a W here has got to force him into somewhat of a #1 contender type of fight. Grappling ace, nasty jiu-jitsu skills, really slick on the mat. Something that I really like about Anthony Hernandez is his speed of transition on the ground. Also, his reversal skills are very good, and he tends to scramble hard into top position on the ground. Very rarely is he losing grappling scrambles. Also does have a very good chin, eats a good shot, and is, at times willing to take a bit of damage to wear opponents out, then eventually capitalize by getting them to the ground and strangling them or even touching them up with shots. It's not like he can't box. Hernandez rips some unorthodox punches at times, but throws power in his shots. Stand-up is not the bread and butter of his game, but he can strike. It's not like Hernandez has no stand-up to his arsenal. He can kickbox, and definitely with the grappling threat makes the kickboxing game a little better. Now, where things get interesting, though, is Dolidze, former grappler too at a high level and known for pretty good MMA grappling. Very physically strong guy, bit of a wild man in the striking department, really likes to load up on like power hooks and chaotic blitzes. His ground skills are what he's kind of known for. Good wrestling game, good top control based grappling game. Pretty good with, his big flurries into big punch combinations with pressure and then into timing takedowns, getting on top and controlling and then working towards a finish. What I don't like about Dolidze is a little flat-footed in range at times, and I don't know. I feel like you compared strike speed. I'd say Hernandez is faster. I think it's going to be interesting to see Hernandez fight against like a big body like a Roman Dolidze, because Dolidze brings the advantage over a lot of middleweights with the physicality side of things. But I definitely feel like Hernandez is slicker with his grappling and better at jujitsu. But Dolidze is not going to be easy to just run over. I think we're going to see some striking between the two. When I think about the kickboxing here, I like Hernandez with a stiff jab. I like Hernandez with some fast straights and some flurries on the inside. I think Dolidze is like a little bit too focused on loading up on just one big power hit. And, it works maybe against a plotter like a Marvin Vettori. But Hernandez, I think, is slicker than that. And I think when you look at the striking between the two, I think that Hernandez wins the battle. Now, I also have to say, the Dolidze grappling game, we see him as the bully a lot of the time in the grappling. What happens when Anthony Hernandez hits that key takedown? What happens when Hernandez ends up in top position? I think that could end up mind fucking Dolidze, who normally is the A side in the grappling department in a vast majority of his UFC fights. I see Hernandez as better at grappling. And I think that if they do tie up, I feel like Hernandez more creative with his trips and throws on the inside. I will say this, to go out and at 100% strength on both sides and like outmuscle Dolidze and drag him to the ground, hard to do. As the fight wears on, I think where the technical advantages of Hernandez show themselves is most evident, right? Round number 2, towards the 3-minute mark. Round number 3, right? As this fight wears and Dolidze slows a bit, I think that's where Hernandez's technical grappling game could really start to find success. I think Hernandez can take Dolidze down. I think Hernandez can win the battle of grappling. I think he can win the transitional fight. I think he can win key scrambles. I think he can end up on top. I think he could take Dolidze's back. I think Dolidze gasses first. It's going to be interesting to see Dolidze pushed in the grappling. I'm looking forward to watching Dolidze forced on the defensive a bit more. Even in his loss to Nasruddin Imavov, right? It's not like he's at the deficiency in the grappling. He's the better grappler there in Imavov, the slick technical striker. Loss before that was a Vettori loss. It was kind of controversial, and then he avenged it most recently. But you look at the last 5, I mean, fairly decent results for Dolidze, but an edge in all 5 of those fights in physicality and grappling. And this one, he has a physicality edge, but he doesn't have the technique. And though he might be a more physically imposing specimen, things will level out past 7.5 minutes. And that's when Anthony Hernandez's game comes into play. Him being less muscle bound becomes the edge as this fight wears on. I think that he could still find success in the trips and takedowns. And I think Anthony Hernandez is a deceptively strong grappler as well. Dolidze's got the big muscles. Hernandez is kind of the skinny fat build, honestly. But the deceptive grappling strength, Hernandez has a very good center of gravity and sneaky strong top position and good grip strength as well. And he's just, I think, more well-refined in the jiu-jitsu game. Even though Dolidze is good at grappling, I think Hernandez better, and I think that's a difference maker. Striking-wise, like I said, Dolidze looking for one shot, Hernandez a little better with the combinations. Neither are world champion boxers to watch in the UFC, but I think the dog striking style of Hernandez beats the power-hitting Georgian bomber style that Dolidze brings. So my pick is going to be Hernandez to win. I think he gets it. Now, he's a minus 330 favorite. Wide lines for Hernandez. He's on a savage 7-fight win streak, and he's one to keep an eye on in this division. Plus 270 for Dolidze. Let's see. What is the over here? Over 3.5 minus 115. Over 3.5 is testy. Over 1.5 better. Over 2.5 live. Over 3.5 is testy because there could be a 3rd or 4th round Hernandez submission. The thing is, though, with Dolidze, we haven't seen it yet. Never been finished as a pro. Okay. And I mean, his most recent losses are Imavov and an avenged loss of Vettori. Imavov's a top 3, top 4 contender. Lost to Trevin Giles back in 2021, which is fucking crazy. I remember that. I feel like Hernandez is live for a later stage submission, or a decision in the fight. I feel like I might be favoring Hernandez to get it on the cards in a hard fought 5-rounder. I think he's got a little more juice come the end of the fight and can do a bit more. Like the key striking exchanges, I think he's throwing more punches at the end, shooting for takedowns, trying to get on top, finding his way to the top. I'm sure Dolidze hits him with some big punches and shit. There might be grappling exchanges that Dolidze ends up winning. But I think overall, after 25 minutes, Hernandez will show himself as the better fighter. But I do have to say, Dolidze pushed in wrestling. We don't know what the gas tank's going to look like. On round 4, I could see him sucking wind, breathing heavy, and I think Hernandez will be live to strangle him come round number 4. So a submission or decision for the side of Hernandez. I'm feeling like submission would be fucking spectacular. He might get a late choke here. I could see the rear naked. I could see a ghillie. I could even see a Darce. I feel like with the skinny long arms that Hernandez has, it's a lot more likely that he would submit Dolidze as opposed to the contrary. And I don't think Dolidze's physicality can keep him alive throughout this whole fight and winning and defending the grappling exchanges. I'm sure he'll have moments in some, and I'm really looking forward to the first round because I want to see what style they bring. Could be a slower start to the first round with both guys knowing it's a 5-round fight. Dolidze, he went 5 rounds against Vettori. Hernandez made it into the 5th round against Pereira and was looking so fucking dominant in that fight. He beat the shit out of Michel Pereira. Both guys proven they can go longer. But like I said, with Dolidze pushed in the grappling a bit, I'm curious how that affects his gas tank. The pick is Hernandez. I'm thinking live for a later stage submission or a unanimous decision. Either way, I got the Hernandez side winning, pulling through against Dolidze and pushing that win streak to 8 in a row. And Hernandez then is going to need to be taken serious amongst the higher level. I'm excited. I'm excited as hell to see the striking too. I think Hernandez is a better boxer. Remember that knockout of the Beverly Hills Ninja on Contender Series? They overturned it because he was smoking weed before the fight. I'm like, Jesus, THC getting you the fucking no contest back then. Hernandez's boxing is not bad. Dolidze's a wild man. Hernandez a wild man too, but sharper, cleaner boxing technique, faster hands, though both are a little bit on the unorthodox side. I favor Hernandez's jiu-jitsu, and I feel like push comes to shove, Hernandez finds the way to win. I'm pulling with the Hernandez side for the UFC Vegas 109 main event. Those are my predictions for the full card. And it feels good to cap it off with the Hernandez W. And I'm excited to see more. I'll be doing content all week, so make sure you guys subscribe and turn the post notifications on. We'll talk about this card a bit more as the week goes on. I love you, Savages. Make sure you guys drop a W in the comments if you got nothing to say. But let me know. Main event prediction and some of the favorite picks on the card. What do you think? You guys thinking Urbina's got the chance against Medic? Or am I just seeing things? I want to hear from the people down in the comments because I'm curious you guys' takes. But definitely, nothing to say in the comments. Just drop a W to boost the algorithm for your boy. Thanks for watching, guys. Smash the likes on your way out. And if you really enjoy the content, make sure you share the video too. Thank you, guys. I love you all right? Good night, my people. I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.